Hey guys, today we're going to be playing the episode that we recorded at Fincon 2017 in Dallas, Texas. This episode's definitely a little bit different. They gave us 25 minutes to use, so we obviously didn't have time to do a full show. So we basically decided to create a minisode. For those of you that, found us at the beginning of this year and have been along for this ride, we wanted to give you a chance to see what it was like from our perspective at, my first Fincon. And I know Brad has been to several of these, but just to kind of see what was actually going on behind the scenes. So much has happened for the FI community, for the ChooseFI community, and this conference was a big deal. So this episode's, it's kind of short, and I'm going to go ahead and let you know ahead of time that I was very enthusiastic, and my enthusiasm, which normally comes through in the show, was on overdrive for this entire event. So I guess I can go ahead and apologize in advance, but I hope that this is fun for you, for those of you that are driving to work today, just something short to get you there on your commute. And for those of you that are maybe pulling away and needing a few minutes for yourself, hopefully you'll get some enjoyment out of this. But I hope you have a wonderful Christmas, and we will see you on Friday, as Brad and I are planning on doing a end of the year episode. And the whole idea behind this end of the year review is that we really want to kind of slow down and take a look at everything that's happened in this community over the last 12 months. And if you have feedback that you would like to have played on the show, you're hearing this today, record a clip for us by the end of Monday or early Tuesday, and we would love to feature it as part of our end of year review. So what I mean by that is, if you found the FI community this year, or you've been in the FI community, but this is the first year that you have really taken action, and as a result of that action, you've seen significant progress on your path to FI, and you want to share that with the larger FI community, we would love to play that on the show. So if you just go to ChooseFI.com, you'll see the voicemail button on the homepage. Send us your thoughts, your feedback. We would love to feature that on the Friday roundup that's going to be going out this week, which will be our last episode of the year. Thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoyed this short minisode. And without any further ado, welcome to the ChooseFI Radio Podcast.
You're listening to ChooseFI Radio. The blueprint for financial independence lives here. If you're looking to unlock the secrets to financial independence and early retirement, you're in the right place. Stay tuned and join a community of like-minded people who are getting off the hamster wheel and taking control of their lives in the pursuit of financial independence. ChooseFI, your home for financial independence online.
Live from Fincon 2017 in Dallas, Texas, this is ChooseFI. As usual, I have my co-host Brad here with me today. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I am doing well. We're here in the middle of the expo hall, and there's just people around everywhere. It's amazing, so much energy. And Jonathan, first Fincon, tell us about it.
It's surreal, man. Like, ChooseFI didn't exist in 2016. Our launch date was roughly January or February of this year, and it's just been a whirlwind. And honestly, currently, I am designing my life around telling a story with words, and I'm speechless.
Yeah, and you're not speechless very often, right? Let's be honest here. But yeah, it's been a crazy 24 hours, right? I mean, we have seen so many people run up to us and like, oh, I heard your voice from across the hall. I listen to you on every single podcast. I couldn't wait to meet you. Like, it's pretty surreal, right?
It absolutely is. And what's funny is when I'm talking to my wife about just my life in general and who I am as a person, in 90% of my day-to-day activities, I'm an introvert. I mean, I know it's probably hard for you to realize that, but it's unless I have that something in common with that person, and there's very few things that I have in common with other people, I tend to just stay to myself. But if I get fired up about something, I go so far to the other side. And now we're in this place, we're in this environment that's just feeding into that small little fraction of my personality that is a total extrovert. And I'm just staying in that lane. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I basically almost lost my voice the first night, and you have to pace yourself, man. I know you've had at least 3 hour-long conversations with people that you're just you walk away and you're just holy cow, that was the best conversation I ever had in my life.
Yeah, I have this amazing 40-minute conversation with someone, and then I'm so excited about it that I go right back to you and I have the same conversation with you. So any 40-minute conversation that I have is an 80-minute conversation.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds right. But yeah, it's exciting. It's really, like I've said before on the podcast, this is really the highlight of my whole year. And this year is special. Like in prior years, I've come here and it's just been, I've had these little blogs and, maybe a couple of people have known me, but it's a very surreal experience, just like coming here and again, like I know I said a couple of minutes ago, but just having people come up to you and like that you've helped them and you've created this community, right? Like that's what we're doing with ChooseFI, is creating this center of this financial independence community where we can all connect with each other, right? Like that's what we're constantly talking about, is creating this area where we can all get together, not only online, not only on this podcast, but in real life. And this is real life. I mean, it's wild, right? I mean, we just got out of a financial independence speech, breakout group, and there were 200 people sitting there, listening to every word, and they would have sat there for 4 hours. Like it was just awesome. Like the energy was palpable.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we're up for a Plutus nomination.
Yeah.
We've been nominated for Best New Personal Finance Podcast of 2017. And the reason that is happening is because we have found this community that's getting value from this content. I mean, this content, what's amazing about it, we talked about it recently with an episode that we did with JD Roth. Yes, there are people that have all this knowledge and information, but what I want to do is just tell you a story. And if you think about it, that's the model that we followed from day one. Was there's these two regular middle-class guys that hopefully are relatable to different people for different reasons, and we're going to share our story with you, and we're going to share with you what we're doing well and what we suck at, and we're going to try and grow right along with you. And then the piece to that really changed the game for us, one, was doing this Friday roundup. That was a game changer for us, because we said, you know what, there's tons and tons of blogs, and the most amazing thing about these blogs that generally the audience recognize, the way we determine whether or not a blog is worth reading is, in many cases, how many hundreds of comments it has down at the bottom. And sometimes those comments are better than the actual article. I mean, that's what you see. But they just get lost. They're buried. By the next week, a new article has come out, and you just moved on. But no, we need to go back. We need to share those comments with other people. And so your idea to do the Friday roundup, bring the community in on it, and turn that into an entire episode, has been a game changer. It's been like nothing was like this up to this point. And now we're accompanying people on their Monday through Friday daily commute, and we're sharing our story as it grows and as we kind of follow the path that we're laying out for our listeners. And they're sharing their story, they're sharing their wins with us, their successes. And so the culmination of that is a Facebook group that has over 5,000 people in it within a period of 6 months that are sharing their wins when they reach financial independence, when they reached $1 million net worth, when they, just all these achievements that show that they're just getting a little bit closer to their goals. And so it's like a tidal wave of enthusiasm that we just get to be a part of. And every single day I get more excited about it.
Yeah, and it's amazing what a journey it's been, right? Like, because the two things you just highlighted were two that I would talk about as like the most important parts of our show and our community, and they didn't exist in February, March. We didn't envision them, right? Like the Facebook group, that only started a couple months ago. There are 5,000 people in there. I saw a post yesterday somebody put out, there were 1,100 comments. I don't know if you even saw that, because we're here at Fincon, but like I popped on, well, knowing you saw it, right?
No, I didn't. I actually checked out.
Yeah,
like
it was amazing.
Fincon, I checked out.
Wow, I'm impressed. But I mean, seriously, 1,100 comments on one post in our Facebook group. Like, that's crazy. And the Friday Roundup exists because of the community. Yeah. Like, it's us talking, obviously, and telling our story, but it's about the community. It's not about us, And I do think people relate to a story, like you're saying about JD Roth, right? And like, I think people find it cool that we are so different. And I don't think people really know just quite how different we are, right?
So different.
It's like absurd, right? Like, I mean, we don't talk about, all that kind of personal stuff, but we're as different as two human beings can be.
Yeah.
But we get along famously, and it just works because we agree about like the central core of our life, which is this path to financial independence, and
it's amazing to me that in a country that sometimes feels ripped apart, a climate that sometimes feels ripped apart by our ideological differences, we found this narrow thread of a lane where you can have people that disagree with each other about everything else in their life, but in this one lane, they can encourage each other and they can get closer to their financial goals, which just results in a level of peace and happiness for them and their families that you just want to be a part of that conversation. And so it's just, how do we grow that? How do we see people be able to reclaim control of their lives just by taking that action, taking that first step? And honestly, we're finding out right along with them what that next step is. We've talked about in a previous episode about the aggregation of marginal gains, right? And this powerful idea that you just improve every aspect of your life by 1%, and the sum of that is incredibly synergistic, and it's incalculable where the summation of all those little steps that you take and land you 10 years from now.
Yeah, and it's funny, the little things are the big things. And I've talked about this on the show over and over, and I love that we've keyed in on that aggregation of marginal gains. Like, it sounds like a hoity-toity type of thing, but it's just cool, man. Like, that's a great way to describe it. Of like, I talk about these little life hacks, but when you add, and I'm always saying, like, you add 20, 50, 100 life hacks, like, you have a better life, even though you can't point to any one of them.
Yeah, someone says, how did you get to 5? Well, I packed my lunch and brought it to work.
Or I didn't buy lamps, right? Like, or we didn't buy throw pillows. And it sounds ridiculous, right? Like, that sounds preposterous. But the little things are the big things. And that, like, because we don't do that stuff all the time, it's hundreds upon hundreds of dollars a month, which over years and over the 15 years that I've been working, like, that adds up to a boatload of money. And then, of course, there are the pillars of FI that we're constantly talking about. You got to get the car right. You got to get the house right. You got to do the important stuff. But it really, at the end of the day, the little stuff does matter. And I'm glad we've keyed in on that aggregation of marginal gain. It's just, I love it. I love saying it, too.
I love it. I love saying it. And I like also saying the marginal utility of money, which is the other point.
Thank you, Happy Philosopher.
I know, thank you, Happy Philosopher. Like, there's just been some really amazing episodes that have come out of this year that have just cemented my, life philosophy for me. I don't know if I could tell you what it is in one sentence, but the idea that financial independence is this equation, and I don't care how you tackle it. We all have to tackle the journey in our own way. But we're gonna share all the ways that people have done this, and you pick what works for you. Like, we've gotten pinned down to some degree in our investing method, but the fact of the matter is, I respect your right to disagree with me. But ultimately, financial independence is an equation, and we want to share with you all the different ways that our community has tackled it. And we have people right now. It's crazy to me that there's 1,700 people at this conference. Over 50% of them have heard about our podcast. That's just totally absurd. And a lot of them listen to our podcast on a daily basis. And they have wildly different stories. And many of them have latched on the idea of sharing those stories with their respective audiences. And then what that means for us now is that we get a chance to bring them on to share their story. And our entire community benefits, because the reason that they decided to take their ideas and commit it to a blog or a podcast or something else is because they realized that maybe they didn't find anybody else that was relating to them directly. And so they decided to put that out into the ether, and now an audience has come around it, which means that all of us benefit by sharing the diversity of our experiences.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, just to take a step back for a second and, just really talk about our story. It's amazing when you really think about it, like how far we've come. So it was the end of January 2017. So we're in October 2017 now. 9 months ago, we were at Camp Mustache in Florida. And this podcast was basically just an idea.
Yeah.
We had a couple of episodes recorded. We maybe had 100 total downloads, right?
Yeah.
Some people thought it was a cool idea. Some people just kind of smiled and nodded,
right?
Like, right. Oh, that sounds good. Good luck with that, And now, I mean, we are pretty close to 2 million downloads.
Yeah.
And we have people coming up to it. Like, this is 9 months later.
And
we have Joe from Stacking Benjamins and Paula Pant from Afford Anything, which are two podcasts that I've listened to, that I love, that are the gold standard in this community. They came up to her and said, I love what you're doing. I've heard so many good things. I've seen your Facebook group. Like, how crazy is that? Dude, it's 9 months later.
I know.
Like, how crazy is that? We're up for Best New Podcast on Saturday night at the Plutus Awards. We're in the top 10 of the People's Choice. Like we don't like to pat ourselves on the back because this community is not about us at all. It's really not. But just take a minute and say, look at what this community has done by coming together. And you started this as an idea. Yeah. You pitched it to me. It sounded amazing. This is I love FI. This is my life.
Yeah.
But like you always said, I've just been doing the travel reward stuff for so long that's become my identity. But it's FI for me. And you gave me this opportunity to let it out. And it's this is my life. This is my life's goal, is broadening this community. And I wouldn't have had the opportunity without you. So, I mean, a huge thank you.
Well, obviously, you know how grateful I am for this partnership and generally what it's added. I mean, I couldn't have done, I have enthusiasm. I have some level of charisma on the microphone. I have a general desire to see it grow. But you need someone that can add some authority to this. Like, we need someone that can balance it out, and that's what you brought. You added a level of gravitas to the equation. You added a level of being able to slow it down when we need to slow down to go deeper. My desire to have like this just generally awesome conversation, a lot of times I can't get deep enough. And by you kind of being willing, you being the guy that goes back and says, wait a second, I know someone's going to I want to know more. Let's not go to this next thought yet. Let's go deeper with this conversation with our guest. It's resulted in a incredibly engaging podcast environment for our guests that they appreciate more, because one, we're trying to help them tell their best story ever, right? We want them to tell their best story ever, but we also realize that it's all about our community. It's all about our listeners. They are ultimately who we care about. And if we just throw softballs, and don't get to the meat, don't get to the heart, don't get to what scares you, don't get to the heart of the equation, they're the one that lose out. Yeah. So it's that framing.
But isn't that so cool? Like on interviews, I put myself in the shoes of a listener because I am a listener. I'm just a regular dude who wants to hear this story. And we're getting this amazing opportunity to dive deep into these people's lives. And it's just so cool. Think about how many lifelong friends we've made now just because we sat down for 2 hours and just had a conversation and asked them questions that people aren't asking them and they don't talk about. It's just such a wonderful opportunity for us. And the fact that we can help draw that story out,
right, and
have it so the tens of thousands of people listening to this can internalize it and learn their lessons. And what's the quote about the book?
Yeah, so this is from the escapeartist.me. The escape artist, he blogs out of the UK, and his favorite thing is, my favorite life hack is books. Because think about it, when you have this book, the author's taken years and years and years of specialized knowledge, so 10, 20 years of experience, and they've funneled it. They've agonized word by word over exactly the framing of every individual sentence that someone can capture it. And you can go to the bookstore for a couple quid, buy it, and suck the knowledge right out of it within a couple hours. Books are the ultimate life hack. And if someone's taken the book and turned it into a conversation, you don't need now to spend the quid. You can just go check out the podcast and pull it directly from them. And you really get a chance. It's almost like a buffet. It's a very much an a la carte. You explore what appeals to you. Ultimately, it's just an equation, right? And you do not need to practice everything that we talk about, but we're going to tell you everything that's possible, everything that's come on our radar. And as the show continues to grow, as the reputation continues to grow, as we're able to continue to get these thought leaders, not just in our niche, but maybe in some of these other niches, these other fields, the entrepreneur field, we can talk about we can go find them, bring them on the show and share their knowledge. And we can slowly suck all the knowledge out of these people that have just spent all this time producing this content.
Yeah, it's amazing. Suck the knowledge out. That is just so cool, right? And the neat thing is, this is not just about the numbers of financial independence. That's really the easy part. Keith from The Wealthy Accountant says, live below your means, save 50% of your money, put it in index funds, wake up and be rich,
yeah,
right? Okay, that there's financial independence, right? But this is about this life hack, this superpower, that we don't want this to just be about the numbers. We want to be this total life optimization. And I think that's what the future of FI and ChooseFI really is, right? How can we make our lives better, each of those life hacks at a time? And it's just sharing this knowledge. That's what's so cool and so exciting to me, is we have tens of thousands of people. Each of them have many things that they could teach the whole community. And it's like a rising tide lifts all boats. If we could all suck the knowledge out of each other,
right,
how great are our lives going to be? This is just, it's the most exciting thing ever. It's ridiculous, almost.
I am more excited as a result of that sentence. My excitement continues to grow. I have trouble going to sleep at night. That's how excited I get about the possibilities of where this story takes you. And life is a series of choices. You choosing to listen to this podcast is a big deal. This is a choice you made. You could have been listening to Netflix. You could have just listened to an audiobook. You're choosing every single day to listen to ChooseFI. And ultimately what that means is you're choosing this equation. You're choosing to beat the game. This may be the first generation in your family that's ever considered the power of understanding how money works and then using that to your advantage.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you talk first generation, which obviously leads into second generation FI, right? We talk about that all the time. That is my life's goal. How do we, obviously it's exciting to hear these stories and these wins of first generation FI, which is the audience. But man, so many people out there are thinking, how do I teach my kids at 5 years old, 10 years old, 20 years old, whatever it is, right? Like, to make those changes to just make their lives easier. And like, I think that I would love to see, and I know people are popping up with this, like curriculum in high school, colleges, like this could be the start of something like that, because we have dozens of people who in their own little worlds are, hey, I'm a teacher, I started up this course. Or like we just had someone from some like major Midwestern university like get in touch with me and said like he's starting a 1-credit class on FI. And like he wrote us an email reaching out saying like, can you be involved? Basically, can you even show up and be a guest lecturer? Like, how freaking cool would that be? Like,
and the answer is, of course we can.
Obviously.
We want to empower you to make a choice, and we think that everyone in our audience should choose FI. That's ultimately what it comes down to, guys. So I hope this little episode, this is a mini-sode, this is for our current listeners, and this, maybe if you're hearing us for the first time, go explore some of our content. Go check out episode 38, The Why of FI. Find out why we get so passionate about this. And then if you love that content, go check out episode 21, The Pillars of FI, which just talks to you about the low-hanging fruit of how easy it is to reclaim control of your life and pursue financial independence. The fire is spreading, my friends. We'll see you next time as we continue to go down the road less traveled.
You've been listening to ChooseFI Radio Podcast, where we help middle-class America build wealth, one life hack at a time.